is, in terms of my personal input, is who I think I is, why I feel like a comment on education. I ain't a teacher and nothing so. And that is a reality. But number one, as a parent, I have a right to comment on education. And being a parent, that primarily informs my perspective.
You may know her for her advocacy, constantly banging on the doors of CXC for educational reform, with students disadvantaged because of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, parent advocate and spokesperson for the group of concerned parents, Barbados and the Caribbean Coalition for Exam Redress, Paula-Anne Moore, has every right to be involved in parent advocacy as a mother and professional in corporate governance.
I'm also a corporate professional with decades of experience in terms of client relationship, client responsiveness, and corporate governance at pretty senior levels. So that also informs my concern in terms of best practice and ethics. And certainly as a human being, one would think that one would have compassion and empathy, particularly for the most vulnerable of our society, which are our children.
Social activists and students alike have been lobbying for almost 2 years consistently for CXC to delay exams. Capital Media spoke exclusively to this parent advocate, whose cries for CXC exams to be delayed have finally been heard by the regional bloc. However, Moore says that though her organization is elated, they were disappointed with the decision made at such a late time.
First, I would say that we were elated that Council reconsidered their original decision to proceed with effectively business as usual exams for 2022 with essentially very cosmetic modifications. We were grateful that Council led by Sir Hilary and made up in particularly to salute Minister Williams of Jamaica and Minister McConney of Barbados. As we understand, those three individuals in particular strenuously lobbied that Council change their stance and direct CXC to modify the exams. I would say, though, that we are disappointed and a bit embarrassed, frankly, on behalf of the region that this 11th hour decision was made.
The parent advocate said that with CXC's late decision to postpone exams, though not ideal, students should still be better off given the circumstances.
I do understand that this is not ideal. Obviously, in a perfect world, actually not even an imperfect world, because the reality is we all are aware the extent to which COVID has negatively impacted such education. And we are aware that for some children that had steeled themselves up to a certain date, it may throw them off in terms of that mental preparation. We are aware and we're cognizant that family members have planned, and teachers have planned their vacation schedules with the original date. We are aware of that and we regret that. But as we have said all along for nearly 2 years, we are advocating for the best interests of all children.
Moore suggested even more modifications to the exam in addition to the delay of CXC, including broad topics to be presented months in advance, such as the case in the United Kingdom.
We have advocated for, in addition to the dates being delayed, that broad topics be presented months in advance as obtained in the UK. Their exam entities such as Cambridge were directed and instructed by their education authorities to produce broad topics so the children could zero in and focus on topics that would come in the exam.
The work continues for the parent advocate, as she said that they will still be lobbying for reform to CXC governance.
I would say that we are pleased, although it took an incredible amount of sustained effort to get a reconsideration by CXC. And we certainly want to put on the table that this is demonstrating that there really does need to be serious, a serious look at why we were in this situation and what is the genesis of the challenges as it relates to CXC governance. We have called since 2020, and current Deputy Prime Minister Santia Bradshaw, who was at the time the Minister of Education, did endorse our call that there clearly needs to be a change in the governance of CXC, and perhaps independent regulation needs to be incorporated as part of that governance. It does seem as though CXC is pretty much self-regulating, and let's face it, corporate monopoly tends to focus on its corporate self-interest and profit motive. And we need to get back where there's a recognition that there's a provision of a service, and there needs to be accountability, transparency, and better communication with its stakeholders.